Not Nerd Podcast, episode 341, Bluedooth.
Welcome to the Not Nerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
G'day, mate. It's been a fortnight since we've had some of Dave's offensive accents, so I thought I'd pull one out today. How's it going there? Blimey.
Blimey. No worries?
No worries, Fred.
Oh my goodness. Hey, you wanted to celebrate the winter solstice in Australia?
Yes. Man, I can't tell you. We were having a real Mark and Todd moment earlier talking about the solstice, the equinox, and all of that business.
Yes, indeed.
But today is the as you joked, the last day of spring, and it's our first day of warm weather. So
yes.
Thank you, Oregon.
Yes, it has been an odd weather year, but aren't they all in Oregon? So
yes.
I was having a discussion with somebody yesterday at the winery that I hang out at sometimes and pretend to do some work. But they were in town from Michigan, but had grown up in Oregon, and we were complaining how the weather's been so cold, but how it's going to be so hot this week. And it's like, it's just the default of what we talk about is weather. And in Oregon, it's even more the default because it changes so often.
It does change a lot. It's an interesting climate out here.
Well, you know what doesn't change? Technology.
Oh, really? I'm not sure I agree with you on that, my friend.
So we're going to wrap up the podcast. Technology is done. No more changes. Oh, wait. We do have some follow-up to cover. And first off the bat, everybody has been waiting.
Yes.
The June Microsoft Patch Tuesday.
On bated breath, we've all been waiting for this.
Yes, there's software updates to fix 60 security vulnerabilities.
Delicious.
In its Windows operating systems and other software, including a zero-day flaw in all supported Microsoft Office versions on all flavors of Windows that's seen active exploitation for at least 2 months now.
And I wanted to mention to those listening, the zero-day flaw. I actually had to look it up because I'm like, what is the actual definition? And this is a flaw that is known to the world that has yet to be patched. So why they call it a zero-day, I don't know. But it's one that everybody knows about, but the company has not fixed yet. So that's the zero-day flaw.
I'm wondering if maybe it is the idea that it needs to be fixed in 0 days. We can't say, oh, we're going to fix this in 20 days. Maybe that's kind of the gist of it. But our second story is actually mentioned in this first paragraph from Krebs on Security. On a lighter note, Microsoft is officially retiring its Internet Explorer web browser, which turns 27 years old this year.
I didn't know that Internet Explorer and me were the same age.
Yes, yeah.
How
I
great.
know, all three of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Internet Explorer with these updates is officially going away. Now, they haven't been recommending you use it for years. The only problem is many software packages still used it on Windows, namely one that I've been dealing with, QuickBooks. They do a lot of in-app web browser login type stuff, and they were still using Internet Explorer. So I saw a email for one of my clients in the last week or so saying, hey, we know Internet Explorer is going away, and we are going to be updating to our own web browser version within QuickBooks, which it's like, why didn't you do this?
Yeah, 27 years ago.
Yes. There's many options, and I was actually at a client yesterday, and she was saying, I always use Internet Explorer as like a secondary browser if something's not working in Chrome, just to check things. What do I do? Should I be using that? And I said, well, you shouldn't, and you won't be able to use it. But, Microsoft Edge should be on the computer which is, I tried to briefly explain, is also built on Chrome software, the Chromium. But, it is a good troubleshooting pro tip that if you use Google Chrome all the time and a website or, something isn't working quite right, you can always open up a different browser, which, me being the person I am, have about 10 different browsers on my computer that I can use for that. But
Yes.
that can help you out on that. But Internet Explorer, goodbye, good riddance. I hope all my client stuff still works. There has been continued news about the whole Elon Musk Twitter thing going on, and I saw something quickly this morning, a headline saying that the Twitter board of directors is recommending that they sell to Elon. Now, Elon is wanting information before he finalizes that purchase, but I was talking to a friend of the show, Mike Peterson, so this week in phone conversations, and he was saying, he heard us talking about and how I had said, well, you've got half the people are for it, half the people are against it. And he said, no, the majority of people could care less. It's half of the people that we hear from are for it, and half the people we hear from, or one group. But there is that third group. I mean, the majority of Americans do not use Twitter. Mike does casually use Twitter, and he said, I don't really care. I use it for what I use it for, and unless it completely changes, it is what it is. So
yeah, I can't see big changes happening right away. And like you said, most people don't care. It's who really cares are the tech journalists. Tech journalists use Twitter like nobody's business, and it's like a personal affront to them when anytime anything changes or whatever. So that's why you're hearing so much about it.
Exactly. Well, TechCrunch put out an article titled "All the Things Apple Sherlocked at WWDC 2022." Now, we've talked about Sherlocked before. Sherlock was a software for Mac OS 8 in the late 90s. The tool had capabilities of searching the web and files on your local system. And I'll just read this for the full history. I don't think we've gone into the specifics. Meanwhile, a company called Corellia Software had a Finder app named Watson, priced at $29 with some superior features like plugins for better internet search. In 2002, Apple released Sherlock 3 with similar features to Watson, making Corellia redundant and forcing it to close down eventually. So the word Sherlock came into the picture whenever Apple released a feature that could potentially shut down an app or make it useless.
Yeah, so Apple made Sherlock, and then someone said, oh, that's weak. We could make a better version. And so they made a better version of Sherlock, called it Watson. Then Apple said, oh, those are some great features. Let's just build them into Sherlock. And then, wash, rinse, repeat. This has been done time and time again, and it's unclear whether Apple has already had these features on their roadmap that they were going to add, or if they saw the third-party developer and had a wonderful idea to copy their features. So no one will ever know, but that's where we get the term.
Well, yes, and useful software would also usually be useful to be built in. Now, there's still usually some use, like this first one, the continuity camera, where you can use your iPhone as a webcam, which we've talked about, and we've talked about many softwares to do this. There's Camo, Epoch Cam, Detail. It's been several picks of the week as we've tried out many different ways to do this, but they do mention here in the article, but Camo's not completely dead. It's available on Windows and is also compatible with Android phones. So continuity camera is not going to have that. So they just have to pivot a little bit, and I'm sure lovers of Camo or any of these other softwares will continue to use it. And like Detail, the one that we most recently featured as a pick of the week, it has some live streaming capabilities and some other stuff, different scenes, all of that. So that was the first one. The next one I think might be a little more detrimental, the Apple Pay Later, where you can do zero interest payments for any purchases you do through Apple Pay. And the Sherlock apps include Klarna, ClearPay, and many others that if you go to a website and buy something, it'll say, hey, do you want to spread this out? The home shopping network method of 4 easy payments.
Buy it now and pay later.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll see kind of how that works out. Apple Pay has been very successful for the people. A good portion of people use it because it's there. So it'll probably be similar to that.
And as most people who have commented in various forums, maybe you should just save the money and buy it when you have the money instead of pay later anyway. So it's kind of a surprise to people like why this is a thing, but who knows?
I haven't specifically seen any posts from Dave Ramsey about this, but I'm sure he has made them. The next feature is the visual lookup with specifically the feature where you can pick up an object from a photo and just drag it somewhere else, which I have tried and works good with most things besides my mustache. But remove.bg, which was a previous pick of the week many years ago.
I don't remember this, and so I was like, this exists, but
so
we talked about it.
I used it, and they have an app, but I used it on the computer. They had a Photoshop plugin, which you would just click a button and you bought credits from them, and it would quickly remove the background. And since it was in Photoshop, it gave you the tools where you could then do fine-tune adjustments for the object.
To make your mustache be part of the image.
Yes, actually include my mustache. The medication tracking we talked about, you were excited about that.
I've been using it. I wish I could figure out how to get it to remind me lots of times, because it'll pop up and it's like, did you take your medication? And then like I'll be busy. And then later I'm like, oh shoot, I got to go check off the box there. But anyway, it's actually nice because you can go back and look and see, is it checked off? 9 times out of 10, if it's not, that means I didn't take it. So but very for people who have medication that's more important than mine, that like they might die or something if they don't take it, then I can see them needing to fine tune that a little bit.
Yes, and since it is in the beta, maybe they'll put in the automatic. It would be nice to have an automatic snooze where it just, if you could mark in there and say, remind me every 3 minutes on this one till I mark it as taken, as opposed to one little quick reminder, you're in the middle of a game and then you forget about it. But it Sherlocked my therapy and pillbox. Now, again, mostly this is for iOS users, and Android users or Windows users or whatever will still need some of these apps. The feature of Freeform, which is the whiteboard collaborative
I'm looking forward
tool.
to this. It's not out yet, but there are many, as the article mentions, of these infinite canvas applications where maybe you and I can share one canvas on 2 devices in remote areas. We don't have to be together, and I can drop in a photo and you can mark it up with a pen, and then I could type some text and you could move some stuff around. And so it's a collaboration tool, and having a built-in collaboration tool for your iPad and your computer is far superior. Now it'll have fewer features, I'm sure, but it's better than trying to get you to download the thing that I want to use and convince you to do it. It's like, if it's just built in, I just say, hey, I'm going to share this thing with you. You click it and it's there. It's so much simpler.
So Fig Jam is one of the ones I mentioned, and then other apps like Good Notes, which I believe you've used and explained everything. And it looks like Fig Jam was just recently released on iPad in March, so they just got into it. But again, if they can get in before Apple does, and if a company really buys into something like that, it might stick until they switch over to the Freeform. Then we've got sleep tracking, which we've talked about a couple sleep tracking apps over the years, Aura and Whoop. I've never heard of Whoop.
Me either. And Sleep Plus Plus is one that I've used.
Yes. But yeah, the sleep tracking. So those are just some of the new features that Apple, quote unquote, Sherlocked at WWDC. But they're all features that I'm excited about. So it's good stuff, and
Progress.
I feel bad for those companies. Hopefully they can keep going, and even with Apple's things. But a lot of times we've talked about this too, is that a lot of times when Apple builds in a feature, like you mentioned, it is limited in its features. So you start using that and you go, I want more power. So then you go search out some of these other ones if you do need some of the more features or granularity in using these apps. And our next piece of follow-up, we can't get enough of the metaverse, and either can Meta, because they are launching a digital clothing store where you can purchase outfits for your avatar, and they have partnered with many premium clothing brands like Balenciaga, Prada, and Tom Brown. You know, the kind of stuff that you're wearing on a daily basis, IRL, in
think
real
I've
life.
Heard of Prada is the only one I've heard of, because there's a movie about it. So this isn't very interesting to me at all, and probably nobody else listening. A thing that I find interesting is that the tech companies have kind of decided on a particular look of avatars, and it's usually a small body with a big head. Where did we land on this? It started with a Nintendo Wii. I think the Wii was the first people to have like a mass appeal avatars. They existed, of course, before that. But mass appeal, a little body, a big head that you could customize. And then Microsoft came out with their avatars on Microsoft. And then, I don't know, does Sony have avatars in their game system? They probably do, I'm sure. Yeah. But then, of course, Facebook. But they all look eerily similar.
The bobblehead.
Oh, and don't forget about Apple with its Memojis or Me's or whatever they are. Yeah, it's like bobblehead things. And so here on this article, we see Mark Zuckerberg and his wife, who I can't remember her name, but I'm pretty sure that's her, in multiple outfits. Yes. And I couldn't be less excited about it.
No, they have not released pricing on this stuff. I did see something yesterday, and I didn't even bother to look in. For some reason, I follow Mark Zuckerberg on Facebook, and they've got some new hardware coming for virtual reality to make it more realistic. But I didn't see any more details. I'm sure we'll discuss that more as we learn more. But it's spending money on this stuff. Like,
I know. I mean, we do it in Fortnite, right?
Yeah.
You play Fortnite, and you're like, oh, I want a different character who has a different style or a different look, or maybe they have Darth Vader or Batman or something. It's like, oh, I'll pay $15 or something, which is crazy, the amount of money you have to pay for this. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a thing, but...
Yes, much like in real life, I put very little value in high-priced clothing items, and even I remember where I first kind of saw it would be like a car racing game, where you even the more realistic ones where you upgrade your car and everything, and then it's like you could spend a bunch of your coins or whatever on accessories to make your car better. I never put any value in spending money on that. I could care less. I want the fastest, best car. I don't care what it looks like, but all that to be said, you will soon be able to buy some Prada in the metaverse.
Oh boy, can't wait.
Yes. Well, we also can't wait for Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
So Nate, I've been hanging on to this pro tip for quite a while because it's really simple, and I'll try not to vamp, just to expand the section of the show. But this is something that I didn't really realize, and I even find a hard time using it now because I forget about it. And so I want to mention it, and I think we should all use this more. But if you have a modern iPhone that has the Face ID sensor on it, and maybe it's laying on the table, or maybe, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's in your car and you're trying to unlock it to switch your song or do a map or something like that. Don't text and drive, people. I'll remind you out there. But if you go to your lock screen and you swipe up from the bottom and the Face ID sensor doesn't see your face, it will kind of just sit there. Mm-hmm. And then it'll say, it'll like shake and say, oh, I didn't get that. And then it'll try again. And then it didn't get. If you just know it's not going to work, you can simply tap the word Face ID and it will go right to the keypad where you can type in your passcode. And so that 2 or 3 seconds little dance that it does, like my big thing is if I'm laying in bed on my side using my phone, half of my face is obstructed and it can't, I know it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And so I would open up the phone, swipe up, and it'd be like, can't read it. And then it would be, can't read it. And then finally it would get to the keypad. Now you just tap the Face ID, the word Face ID, and it goes right to the keypad.
Nice.
So
I like that one. I
save
just tried it
seconds
out. Yes.
a day.
No, yeah. Hey, it's one of those little things that if you get used to doing it, if you're in that situation often, you can just quickly do it and be in there. Or if grabbing somebody else's phone, you need to do something, and you can quickly do that.
That's a great example. Like my wife, I know her PIN code for her phone, and if I need to use it sometime, it's not going to work on my Face ID, and so I can get it, turn it on, tap the Face ID little logo, and it goes right to the keypad. It's not going to sit there for 10 seconds trying to read my face.
Very nice. Well, let us move on to our takes of the week. This first story, and I believe it's rolling out in Canada to start, but Adobe Photoshop, that I mentioned before, that you pay a hefty price for their subscription to get full access to their Creative Cloud. Well, Photoshop, you can get Photoshop and Lightroom for $10 a month, I think, maybe. But the big news is the browser-based version of this popular photo editor will include its core features and be free to everyone.
Yeah, that's so exciting, as most of us have already moved on to other tools.
Yes, indeed. And there are many, and I know we've talked about some in the past, of varying quality of browser-based photo editing apps, but I end up doing a lot of photo work for websites and for the Not Nerd podcast, and I wonder if I'd be able to do the Dave drone photo into our podcast artwork via the web version. It's currently being trialed in Canada, but we'll be rolling out. But
why Canada? Adobe's an American company. This is interesting.
Yeah,
maybe because they have fewer people there.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, I think this is a good thing, making these tools available, and obviously it's good for them because you start using this in the web, and then you go, you know what? I think I could use Photoshop. But yeah, Photoshop is kind of the gold standard for photo editing. There's a lot of great competition these days, but I always end up going back to Photoshop to do a lot of my stuff, and I actually get a discounted price, full disclosure, through a nonprofit that I work with. So I get the full Creative Cloud for a discounted price each month. But yeah, it's...
Well, they're kind of doing what everyone else who's in the software subscription game is doing, where they have a free version. Let's take Microsoft, for example. You can go use Microsoft Word, Excel, all that stuff in the cloud for free, and it works pretty well. And then, of course, they have a paid version where you can download the software to your computer. It has more features, et cetera, et cetera. But this is kind of the trade-off, I think, that we've gotten to, this place that we've gotten to where companies say, hey, we know subscribing to our software is a big ask, and so we're going to give you something in return, and that is a free version that you can trial, make sure you like it before you commit to a subscription or something like that. And so it's this little dance that's finally sussed out into this process where we'll give you something free, you pay for the subscription, and of course the pros are always going to pay for the subscription in any of these platforms, whether it's Photoshop or Office 365 or Google Business or anything like that. And I think that's a good way to be. Otherwise, as we know from Photoshop in the past, what happens are the people who can't afford it just steal it. They go online and find a cracked version and just install it on their computers at their own peril, because there's usually a lot of malware and things that come along.
I know. I just saw a post the other day in one of the tech Facebook groups of someone, I think it was one of the Apple ones, someone saying, how can I install CS5 on my new Mac. I paid for my license and I do not want to pay for the subscription. So they're using a 10-year-old version of the software because they just do not want to pay. The other thing they mentioned in the article, the advantage for this is for Chrome-based, like a Chromebook. You would be able to use this in the web browser where you can't install the full version of Photoshop. So.
Yeah. So I think it's better for everyone. It's better for Adobe because they can put out a clean, good, authorized copy that people can utilize for free. And when those people become professionals or need the more capable version, then they'll pay Adobe for that.
Yep.
And everybody wins.
Yes. Well, the next story, Apple, who has dabbled in the sports world, they've got the Friday Night Baseball, which I have not brought myself to watch yet. They've got there's rumors of some football streaming deals. Well, they struck a 10-year streaming deal for all Major League Soccer games. So this is Major League Soccer is obviously the abandoned child of major sports leagues in America. You've got baseball, football, basketball, and then hockey are kind of the big four. But like in Portland, we've got the Portland Timbers. They have a huge following. The games are crazy, a lot of fun. But Major League Soccer is kind of this sleeper that Apple went in, and instead of trying to deal with the entrenched, of the major sports leagues, they're going with Major League Soccer, and it'll be interesting to see. There's not, it's very hard to find a lot of MLS games televised, so they're kind of have a blank slate on this of getting this going, and I think it's going to be a good move for them.
Yeah, they're going to be able to experiment and broadcast, I guess, in quotes, because it's through their streaming service. But they're going to be able to televise these things in a new, interesting way. There's been a lot of talk on podcasts about how they could do this, but with the multiple camera angles, maybe stuff is interactive, where there are feeds that are going along that you can participate in, or maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a poll or something, but something more than just a passive experience of watching it. Maybe there's something that the viewer can do, since everything is digital and coming through your computer now, or your set-top box. Maybe there are opportunities for enhanced viewing, which is something that I would be interested in. And I'm not a big soccer fan, but this might get me to watch it just for the novelty of this new thing, and there's a tech angle, so maybe I want to check it out. Now, you still have to subscribe to this service, right? This is a for-pay thing, or there's some free stuff?
It sounds like it's going to be kind of a over-the-top fee, where it's a separate, like you buy the MLS package. Now, I'm guessing, knowing Apple, they will probably have a free trial, or the first month's free to get people into it. Now, we both have the Apple One bundle for our iCloud services, so we get the Apple TV. But yeah, it's not exactly clear yet how this will play into how much everything costs and everything. But I think it's going to be a good thing, and I will definitely check it out as well. I know we've talked about it a little bit here and there. I think I've downloaded. I'd never really used it, but Telegram, which is one of the kind of premier secure messaging apps, they announced that they have amassed over 700 million, with an M, monthly active users, and is rolling out a premium tier with additional features as the instant messaging platform pushes to monetize a portion of its large user base. So it sounds like, I don't know if they do any advertising stuff, but I think trying to be as secure as they are, maybe they're looking to do a premium service instead of doing a lot of advertising or other things that might compromise security. Yeah,
I don't know much about this. I don't use this tool or tools like it, but it's interesting nonetheless.
Obviously, a lot of people are interested, and with all the security concerns going around, people want something that's more secure. So looks like Telegram's doing okay.
Yeah, good for them.
Yes, and speaking of security and privacy, Cloudflare mitigates record-breaking HTTPS DDoS attack. Get a couple more letters into that headline.
Yeah, everybody knows what that is.
Yes, so we have talked about DDoS attacks before in Cloudflare, which is a network of servers that protects, is kind of a intermediary between your website and the web. But they said that this attack was 26 million requests per second.
Wow.
Against a single website. And it targeted one of Cloudflare's customers using the free plan. So they do have a free plan, and I've used that on some of the websites that I've built. But it says the threat actor behind it likely used hijacked servers and virtual machines, seeing that the attack originated from cloud service providers instead of weaker Internet of Things devices. So yeah, that is just 26 million requests per second.
Yeah. It's good to know that there are companies and technologies out there that are keeping the bad guys at bay between regular people. Like, you don't even have to know what a DDoS or distributed denial of service is. You just go to your websites and they work, you know. If this hadn't been in place, the website in question would have been bombarded with all these requests and it would have crashed the server. And then if it was apple.com or Microsoft or whatever, nobody in the planet could have been able to access their website, which is not good for the business or the people who want to use those services.
Yes. Yeah, so Cloudflare is what we call a CDN, a content delivery network. So they cache websites and then they share those websites. Like I said, I've used it, and it's great that they're helping out on stuff like this because, man, and it's somebody just using the free tier, so it's not some major, corporate target. It would be interesting. I did not see it mentioned.
Maybe it was the Not Nerd.
Oh,
podcast.
It could have been. It could have been. Oh, man. Thank you, Cloudflare, for keeping our visitor and being able to access our website.
I would have liked to seen those 27 million visitors on their stats, though. To see, oh, look at all the people visiting our websites.
Yeah, would have helped out our analytics.
Yeah, even though they're robots. But.
Yes. And I was thinking, too, every once in a while we have a story about, the internet traffic is made up 70% of this or, 70% of that, adult-themed content or streaming or YouTube, whatever it is. But, at some point are we going to get to 80% of all web traffic is DDoS attacks.
Yep.
But, and then this next one, which should come as no surprise to anyone, leaked audio from 80 internal TikTok meetings shows that U.S. user data has been repeatedly accessed from China. So TikTok and China have said, oh, we don't look at anything, don't worry about TikTok being in China and being on our servers. Now, I did hear somebody discussing this, and I think it kind of talks about in the article that it was like maybe names and email, there wasn't a lot of super private information that was being accessed, but still, it's something to keep in mind.
Well, we don't have a segment titled See, I told you so.
Yeah.
But this is one of those where it's like, see, I told you so. Yeah. This is one of the primary reasons I didn't want to get involved with TikTok or use TikTok, because it's like, this is a sleeper agent for the Chinese government. And everybody's like, no. Yeah. So here it is. And what else have they been doing with the data? And people say, well, like, what's the big deal? I mean, who cares? Whatever. But if you've paid attention to the news at all, you will understand that Russia has invaded Ukraine, right? Like, missiles
they
are being
have
fired. Yeah.
What?
People are dying, bombs are going off and stuff. Well, China is somewhat adversarial to the planet, right?
Yes.
And so it's only a matter of time that they're going to make a move and people are going to die. And this tool is one of the tools they will use in order to instigate that attack. They want information. They want to know our vulnerabilities. They want to know everything. And so it's not a trivial matter that, millions and millions of social media posts and people's profiles and their activity and their actions. This is all being cataloged, and it could be weaponized against us. So it's not as innocuous as you would think.
Yes, and it does talk about, and we've talked about this before, that they have an incredible amount of power with their algorithm, and using this data to craft the algorithm for their more than 1 billion users. And I will quickly remind people that we are the most nonpartisan tech podcast on the internet. But the next sentence, why I give the disclaimer, Senator Ted Cruz, for instance, has called TikTok a Trojan horse the Chinese Communist Party can use to influence what Americans see, hear, and ultimately think.
I've just agreed with Ted Cruz on one point.
Yes. Good old Ted Cruz with his mini mullet. Well, let us move on to our bonus odd take. And usually this is a palate cleanser of randomness. But this one I picked today. It's how-i-experience-web-today.com, which is part of the joke, but it is a fascinating look at a common web experience. You go to the homepage, and it has, it looks kind of like Google, where it says, I search something, and then it says example.com. Then it shows me something with the description example domain. This domain is for use in illustrative examples and documents. You may use this domain in literature without prior coordination or asking for ... So, like a Google result. You click on that, and then you're greeted with the cookie privacy statement, and you can edit your cookie preferences. And then it says the website would like to allow to send you notifications and show notifications, and then you can subscribe to the newsletter. So it's taking all of the user painful elements, and I won't spoil the whole thing, but you should really go there.
My word.
And just go through this, because it is what you will often see with all of these annoying elements that have become so common. I will give you one little more. Eventually you get to a point where you get to a page where you can scroll, and as soon as you start scrolling, a box comes up and says, you scrolled. It seems you are interested in our content. Leave your email to read more in the future.
This is so right on.
Yeah.
And since I read a lot of tech websites,
yes,
they are notorious. It's like you enter the site, here's the newsletter, you click that away, and it's like, oh, here's the cookie. Get away from me, thanks GDPR or whatever that thing is.
Yes.
And then you finally get to the site, and there's 12,000 ads, and you're like, which one is the article? I'm not sure if this is an ad or an article or what's going on.
Yeah, the pictures for the ad are bigger than the actual photos related to the article.
Or they have text that's like an advertorial before and after the article, and so you think you're reading the article, and it's actually an ad. So the web has kind of become a dumpster fire. That's why I use Brave browser, and that's why I turn on all my ad blockers. And I have a very sanitized version of the web.
Yes, and that can assist with that. And you know what else can assist? Our picks of the week.
Well, speaking of internet, no, my pick has nothing to do. As a point, I just tried to close the tab, and it popped up.
No.
Leaving site? Do you want to make changes? Oh my gosh, it's a wonderful website that shows you exactly how the world of the web works. Well, switching gears here, I don't think I talk about this a lot, but I like to play games, and I'm kind of a gamer.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, a little bit. So a couple years ago, it feels, I ordered a product. It's interesting because of COVID and supply chains and logistics and all this stuff. Between 2020 and 2022, everything's just out of whack. So I purchased, which feels like a couple years ago, a small device created by Panic, which is a software company, I guess now a hardware company as well, here in Portland, and they partnered with a design firm somewhere, I think it's in Europe somewhere, to develop a tiny Game Boy-like device called the Playdate. And I have one right here.
Ooh.
You remember seeing this? We talked
I
about it.
do. Yeah, I do remember, but now it's a real thing.
It's a real thing. And this is a 3.5 inch by 3.5 inch square with a highly reflective black and white non-backlit screen, which was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
And it's yellow. It's fun. It's got all the little hallmarks of whimsy attached to it. So, for example, when I try to open it, some little error. Since it's highly reflective, it's hard for you to see.
Yes.
So I click it, and two little eyes pop up, and I if you hit it twice, it like opens its eyes, and then you're greeted. Oh, and I have a new gift.
Ooh.
So the way this works is they give you 24 games that I was going to say for free, but that are part of the subscription of purchasing this thing, and they come in 2 games a week.
Oh, cool.
And so I got 2 games when it started, and now since it's a new week, 2 new games are showing up. It's going to do that for the next 12 weeks. And then I think they're going to have a new subscription later for more games that you'll have to pay for separately. And you can also purchase applications not through their store and sideload them, or you can even develop your own applications for this device. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. It's very whimsical. It's probably a complete waste of money because... Let's face it, as I've mentioned, I'm more of a game collector than I am a player. But it's just a fun device. It's just fun to hold and interact with. And look what's on the side here.
The crank. I remember them saying there would be a crank.
Yeah, so the crank does nothing. It's an interface interactive element. It has nothing to do with power. You don't crank the device to charge it. Although, being such a low power device, it probably would work. But anyway, it's just fun. I've got the Playdate. I recommend it for those of you who are game enthusiasts. Your experience is going to be different than like a Game Boy or something like that. It's very niche, very retro, but very cool at the same time. So
very
you
nice.
can learn more about the Playdate by going to the URL play.date. Very clever. No .com, .net, just play.date, and it'll take you there.
Very nice. Well, my pick of the week, Dave, I'm actually going to do a reveal here by covering my webcam with a Post-it note.
That's so high-tech.
And hopefully this doesn't trigger your eyes, but...
Oh, my word. What have we... Daft? Is that you or Punk? Is it which one are you, Daft or Punk?
I am definitely Daft because I have the Liteband Flex 300 wide beam LED headlamp, 210 degree illumination, 300 lumens, improved OVLED design, AAA batteries, adjustable, camping, running, hiking, fits hard hats, LBF 300-AN night.
You had me at OVLED. Man.
Yes.
Look at that. So this is, I'll describe it to the audience what I see here. So this could be a device that if you don't want to turn off your webcam, it just obfuscates
blinds
your face and blinds the camera. Or it could be a headlamp, the kind that you put the little strap around your head and it's got a little flashlight in the front, a little torch. But this is like Geordi LaForge on Star Trek, clear across the forehead. As he puts it down over his eyes, it goes across your entire forehead, or Nate, shall I say, your 5 head?
Yes.
It goes
almost all the way across my forehead, depending on your head size.
Yeah, that's amazing. So this is like a headlamp on steroids.
Yes. And so this is something I had seen a while ago on Cool Tools. I had it on my wish list. My wife purchased it for me. But yeah, I like it. And I wanted to make this pick this week because, Dave, you had your Oculus strap. And so this is very similar.
Well, I'm not quite sure about that.
It is virtual reality, but it does have a battery pack in the back that takes 3 AAA batteries included.
Nice.
And then it's got a little button, the strap, and adjustable strap, so it can fit on your hard hat, like the Amazon title tells you. And then there's a on-off switch on the battery pack, but then also a button. So there's super bright, medium, bright, and off. So it's just a 3 function if you count the off, as they often do.
Yeah, that reminds me when I was in school, there was the super bright kids. I was just kind of medium. Right?
Yes, exactly.
And there were those kids that were just off, too.
Yeah. Yes. So the Liteband brand, they do have several versions. This is, I believe, the lowest, the 300. They have all the way up to the Pro 1000 series.
Wow.
Which would definitely probably blind some people. But, the typical headlamp, it's usually a small thing right in the middle, so you have a very narrow view.
Mm-hmm.
With
it's
this.
like a spotlight.
Yes, you have 210 degrees. So I figured, and so when I opened it and put it on, my wife was looking, she was like, is this for like taking video stuff? And I said, actually, it probably would work for that. If I'm shooting video of somebody else, I could put this on and use it as a light that would follow the thing. But
you would look stupid, but it would work.
Yes. So this particular model has 4.5 stars on 383 ratings on Amazon. Dave, what would you pay for something like the Liteband Flex 300?
Man, I'd pay $1,000 for that thing, but
right on.
But
you,
I know that it's probably less than that.
Yes.
Let's see here. This looks like a $19.99 product to me.
Ding, ding, ding. Spot on,
Yeah,
Dave.
there we go.
Look at you. You
Look
are
at
on.
me.
Yeah, so obviously the pricing goes up. Like the Pro 1000 is $70. Yeah, so that one is a little more, but that's...
Why would you need more than the 300 here? That seems like...
I don't know. Is if you were doing covert ops...
Professional cave diver?
Yeah, something like that.
Or spelunker, I guess. You wouldn't want to go into water with this. I don't think it's waterproof, is it?
I no, it would not be. The Pro might be. It looks a little more well built. It looks like, just based on how many Amazon reviews, the 400 has the most reviews at $40. But yeah, a very nice little headlamp. I don't have a specific. Sorry for all the mic noise as I take it on and off over my microphone. There we go. But it was just something that I would, me, I love to have things in my toolbox. I'm also a very difficult person to shop for. And so having something like this, it's like, I'm going to put this in my car and have it there in case I need it. So.
I think it's great. Now the headlamps, I got to admit, I'm not a big fashion guy. I wear dumb stuff or whatever. Headlamps are goofy and dumb looking.
Yes.
However, they are the most useful tool you could ever find, because both of your hands are free to do work when you're not having to hold a flashlight. Yeah. And so I've just set aside any type of reservation about these regarding how I look. I'm like, you know what? I don't care how I look. I don't care if you think I look stupid. These things work. And that tool that you got there, I might actually need to pick one up, because I do have that spotlight problem. It's like, you're working on something in electricity and you have to turn off the power. Now it's dark. You've got one spotlight. That's not helpful. But that thing will illuminate the entire room.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yes, indeed. Well, with that, we will wrap up this episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you learned something new. You got up to date on what's going on in the world of technology. So now you can get out there and tech better. It is my only Blu-ray device in my house, but I have never needed.
You've never needed to watch a Blu-ray?
Bluedooth. Why do I keep calling it Bluedooth? Because I see BD and I only say Bluetooth.